It was a dark night, no moon in the sky. The only form of light were the headlights from my old rusted Ford. The wind was howling and I was the only car on the road, and it seemed to have no end in sight. There were tall trees on both sides of the road. I looked at the gauges on my dashboard. "Oh crap," I said to myself. In my rush to get going, I forgot to fill up with gas. The gauge was on E. I had taken a detour to save time, a decision I now regretted as the road stretched on, my vision limited by the reflection of my headlights. I turned on the radio just to break the uneasy silence. It crackled with static, adding an unsettling layer to the already dark atmosphere. The occasional flickering of my headlights revealed branches that seemed to reach out like and plunge into my tires. The engine sputtered, and the car came to an abrupt halt. Panic gripped me like a vice as I realized I have run out of gas. I was stranded in the heart of nowhere, surrounded by pitch blackness with the wind howling. It felt like the forest came alive with hundreds of unseen eyes following my every move. I fumbled for my phone, desperately hoping for a signal, but the screen was black, the isolation set in, everything was spookingly quiet. I stepped out into the cold night, the darkness wrapping around me. With a flashlight in hand, I scanned the surroundings for any sign of civilization. Only me and the pitch-black forest. Every step I took echoed. I actually felt scared. You know that kind of feeling when the hairs at the back of your neck stand up? Well, that kind of scared. As I walked, I heard a low growl coming from the forest. I started running, my heart pounding in my chest. The flashlight flickered, and I prayed it wouldn't die. I wasn't sure if the growl I heard was a real growl or something else. I wasn't waiting to find out. I carried on running toward a gas station I saw. The gas station was an old, dilapidated structure, its rusty sign creaking in the wind. There were broken bottle pieces lying around and old newspapers were flying in the wind. I felt relief, but this was soon replaced by fear as I entered the creepy, half-lit space. There was a strong scent of decay, and a trail of footprints in the dust. "Someone is here," I muttered to myself. In the flickering fluorescent lights that barely illuminated the surroundings, I saw broken shelves, empty cans of food and cigarette butts strewn across the floor that had a thick layer of dust. The silence was shattered by a distant howl. I felt eyes on me, unseen but undoubtedly present. "I'm getting the hell out of here," I said to myself and hurried over to the gas pump, my trembling hands fumbling to insert the nozzle into the fuel tank. I hoped and prayed that there was some gas in these tanks. I was in luck. The growls in the distance intensified, and I became more unsettled. As the gas flowed, I kept looking over my shoulder, but all I saw was darkness. I could feel eyes scrutinizing my every move. My imagination ran wild. The pump clicked, signaling the completion of the agonizingly slow process. I withdrew the nozzle, my gaze darting nervously around the station. The growls stopped and were replaced by an unnatural silence. I hurried back to my car, the footsteps behind me echoing in the dark. With a trembling hand, I turned the key, praying that the engine would roar to life. The car hesitated. "Come on, bitch!" I screamed, hitting my hand on the steering wheel. Then with a reluctant groan, the engine turned and the headlights pierced into the darkness. That's when I saw him. My heart dropped to my ass. I even let out a nervous fart. A figure stood in front of my headlights. He was dirty, his long stringy hair covering most of his dust-smeared face. His shirt hung like bags and his jeans were 2 sizes too big. His legs were slightly spread and he was hunched forward holding a rusted knife in his hand. My mind raced. I knew if I don't run him over, he will kill me. He ran full speed and jumped onto my bonnet, pulling himself towards my open window. With my heart pounding, I said out loud, "Okay, bitch, time to party." I put the car into gear and sped away from that forsaken place. The dirty, stinking man lost his grip and slid underneath my wheels. I felt a bump as I ran over him. His screams faded into the distance. I didn't look in the review mirror, I just drove as fast as I could. The road ahead stretched on, winding through the darkness, and I drove, haunted by the man's face and the sound of the thud as my car drove over him. I never stopped again that night. I carried on driving as fast as I could until I reached the highway, where I was surrounded by lights. Then only did I slow down and start breathing normally.